Today I'm going to show you how NIS2 IT security policy document looks like and how to fill it out. And this document is very important because it describes the basic security rules for all the employees in the company, ranging from how to use their PCs, laptops and other information, and to safeguard this data so that it's not being compromised. Okay, I'm showing you now this IT security policy template from NIS2 documentation toolkit from Advisera. And as you can see on this first page, typically you insert your company logo, company name, document name, code, version, date of version, author, approver, these kind of things. Anyway, on the second page, you normally display the change history, how the document has changed throughout the dates and throughout the versions. And then comes the table of contents, and then you start writing the main part of the document. Now, I'll come to this main part in a minute. Let me just first explain you the structure of this document. So, purpose, scope, and users. Typically, you write here who should read this document, why is it written, these kind of things. Then reference documents, so you refer here to NIS2 and also to other relevant cybersecurity standards like 27001 and so on. And then you start describing the acceptable use of IT assets. And sometimes this actually whole document is called acceptable use policy, not IT security policy, but it's really a matter of approach. So basically both of these titles come down to the same point, and this is describing the basic security rules for your all employees. And then, okay, you start with some definitions, and then you define what is the acceptable use in general for all the IT assets, who is responsible for assets. You describe general rules for acceptable use of assets, then who is responsible for assets, how the information needs to be deleted on, let's say, laptops and so on, what are the prohibited activities that are not allowed, how you take assets offsite, which kind of permissions are needed, how you actually return the assets once the contract with an employee is terminated, what is the backup procedure for all the devices, how you protect the devices from malware, from viruses, what is the authorization for use of IT systems, what are the user account responsibilities, how the internet is used in a safe way, how you actually use email and other messaging technologies, how you observe the copyright protection, how the information systems and communication systems are monitored, and how to report incidents. And the last section is about validity in document management, so who's in charge of the document, how often it needs to be reviewed, and so on. Okay, now let's move on to the main part of the document, so purpose, scope, and users. You will notice that here you have these square brackets and these placeholders where you have to insert something that is specific for your company. So in this case, this would be, let's say, your company name. So let's say that your company is called Test Incorporated, and you insert it here. You also insert it here. And then comes the reference documents. As you can see, references here to NIS2 Article 21. And also to ISO 27001, several controls, and some other documents that are also related to this IT security policy. Then some definitions, then general description of the acceptable use, and then who is responsible for assets, how the information is deleted, what are the prohibited activities. And you will notice that most of these requirements here are rather short. Now, why is this? This is because this is directed towards all employees in the company. So this is not, let's say, directed only for IT department, where of course you would need more detailed text of the policy. Here, again, you should try to be rather short because you can't really expect from a wide range of employees to follow too detailed rules. Anyway, for prohibited activities, you again have a couple of bullets here. And again, you have this placeholder here with who is job title for defining the acceptable use, and you will see these comments that suggest you who can be this person. So basically these comments here are to help you out to adapt this document to fill it out more quickly. So it says here that this could be, let's say, Chief Information Security Officer. Okay, so let's say that then I just fill it out here, so this is a CISO. And I move on, taking assets offsite. Again, you have comment. If you don't need it anymore, you simply delete it. And this is basically how you go through the documents and finish it up. Now, main decisions related to this IT security policy will be around which kind of rules to apply for these particular details of this document. And usually this is done together with people who are already involved in setting this kind of rules. So typically these are people from the IT department and also people from, let's say, legal department, human resources department, and so on. So the person who is in charge of security, this could be, let's say, security officer or CISO, needs to agree on all of these rules together with his other heads of the departments and include all of these rules into this IT security policy. Also, you'll have to take into account the results of the risk assessment and adapt the security rules and controls based on the results of these risks. Now, other challenges related to this document could be that you're not getting commitments from employees related to these rules, and that you simply have too much to write related to this document. Now, regarding commitments, first of all, you have to get a commitment of this mid-level management by sending this document for review to all these people that I already mentioned. And for all the other employees in the company, you have to organize a security awareness, which will explain, why these security rules are needed in the first place, and also training, especially if you're introducing some new rules, some new security methods. And to resolve this challenge of having too much to write, I'll show you now how to use this document wizard from Advisera's AI-powered toolkit to speed up the writing of this document. Okay, once you log into this NIS2 documentation toolkit software, you scroll down to this folder 8, cybersecurity policies and procedures, and then you click this IT security policy, which will open the wizard. And then the wizard actually asks you to fill out a couple of information. So what is the name of the person to approve this document? And you already see that there is this name, John Smith, because I already filled out this name for some documents that I filled out prior to this IT security policy, and the software suggested this same name for all the further documents. The same thing for the confidentiality level, already this internal use is suggested. I move on next. Who is in charge of giving permissions for software installations? And then you actually have here some suggestions on who this might be. So let's say this is, head of IT department. Of course, you'll have to adapt this for your own company. And then you move on next. Who is in charge of defining security controls for communication channels? Let's say this is, Chief Information CISO. And you move on next, and then you can actually download the document. You simply click it here, and you notice that it's completed in a couple of seconds. And you click it to open it. And now you can see this document, which is created through the wizard. It's a little bit different from the document that I was showing you previously. So you already see that the logo here is filled out, because this is the logo that I uploaded to the software for some previous documents. Also, the company name is automatically inserted. And you will see this approver, John Smith, is already automatically inserted. Confidentiality level internal use already here. This company name in the header and the confidentiality level is also inserted. And let me see what else did the insert also. Okay, so it inserted the company name. Okay, so let's see some other things that it's inserted. Okay, so inserted this head of the IT department as the job title for approving the installation of software. So as you can see, it inserts everything that you've written in the wizard, and the more documents you fill out through the wizard, the more software suggests you what to fill out next. So the more you use this wizard, the quicker you become. Hope this was helpful, and to see this IT security policy for yourself, sign up for the free trial of NIS2 Toolkit. Click the link to the toolkit in the description below, and you'll be able to see the free demo of this document and also other documents from the toolkit. And you can also try how this document wizard works. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below, not to miss my new videos. Thanks for watching.